Hi, I'm Logan, and I'm about to analyze a couple infographics with the purpose of informing audiences about low-carb diets. I will cover some of what each infographic does well and some of what each infographic does poorly. After that, I will show a redesigned infographic aimed to be an improvement over the others. The first infographic I chose is titled Ketogenic Diet, put simply, from the website My Keto Kitchen. It explains how the ketogenic diet is high fat, moderate protein, and low carbohydrate. After that, it gives a brief point explaining what ketosis is, which is a result of a proper ketogenic diet, and what foods to eat and to avoid. The second is an animal-based diet infographic, which outlines foods labeled as low toxic, medium toxic, and high toxic. Both infographics focus on low carb, high fat eating styles, but they target slightly different audiences and use very different design and information strategies. Starting with the keto infographic, the information is generally clear and organized into three main sections: high fat, moderate protein, and low carbohydrate. It briefly defines ketosis and gives examples of foods to eat and to avoid. In terms of visual design, it uses a consistent warm color palette of reds and teals, large icons, and bold section headers. This follows the principle from our Week 6 reading that visual hierarchy should guide the eye from title to main sections to details. The icons for food and droplets help people quickly recognize categories instead of reading every word. However, it also has the same design problems. This follows the principle from our Week 6 reading that visual hierarchy should guide the eye from the title to main sections to details. The icons for food and droplets help people quickly recognize categories instead of reading every word. However, it also has some design problems. There's a lot of small text squeezed into narrow areas, which hurts legibility. Some icons feel decorative rather than functional, and the background patterns add visual noise. As our model on infographic design explains, too many competing elements can overload working memory and make it harder to process the main message. Structurally, the layout is mostly top to bottom, but the viewer has to jump between side-by-side blocks. The audience seems to be adults already interested in keto who are comfortable with fairly specific diet rules. A few changes I suggest is make the font bigger, reduce text by turning long sentences into short bullet points, and reduce the color palette and background. The animal-based diet infographic includes lots of information about which foods are allowed, sometimes allowed, or avoided. One strength is that it groups foods into clear categories and uses icons next to many items, which supports quick scanning like our information chunking reading recommends. But the infographic has major weaknesses. It's extremely text heavy. The font is small and there's almost no white space. The viewer doesn't know where to look first. The color language of low toxic, medium toxic, and high toxic is also emotionally charged and not backed up with visible sources, which conflicts with our information literacy emphasis of evaluating bias and evidence. Structurally, it feels more like a full page of notes than an infographic. There isn't a clear visual path, and there are no obvious entry points, callouts, or summaries. The audience appears to be people already convinced animal-based diets are best, rather than someone who is just exploring options. A few changes I'd suggest are reduce text and introduce a clear hierarchy of title, three main sections, and most important examples. My new infographic is titled Low Carb Diets, Keto vs. Animal-Based, and it targets health-conscious or carb-conscious individuals who are curious about diet trends but need simple, balanced, and evidence-aware information. I organized the new infographic into three main horizontal sections: a quick side-by-side comparison of the two diets, what to eat in keto, what to eat in animal-based, and what to avoid section. This structure follows our course guideline that infographics should tell a clear story. Visually, I use one color family for keto and another for animal-based. Icons are simple and consistent, from plates, check marks, and arrows, so they don't distract from the information. Fonts are large and simple for ease of reading across platforms. Compared with the originals, my infographic reduces clutter and colorful distraction. This aligns with our information literacy focus on clarity. In creating the new infographic, I relied on both critical thinking and creative thinking. Critically, I evaluated the original infographics by asking questions our course emphasized. What is the purpose? Who is the audience? What evidence is provided? Where might there be bias or missing information? That helped me recognize that the animal-based infographic used emotionally charged wording and that both infographics assumed a more advanced audience than college students. I also compared each design choice, like color and hierarchy, against the principles from our readings on contrast, alignment, repetition, and proximity. Creatively, I experimented with different ways to combine the strongest elements of each design. From the keto infographic, I kept a simple macronutrient explanation and bold icons. From the animal-based infographic, I kept the idea of grouping foods by frequency, but I reframed the labels and simplified the visuals. I sketched several layouts before choosing the one that best matched college students' reading habits: short, scannable, and mobile-friendly. Overall, my thinking process was a cycle of questioning, revising, and testing, just like our course encourages us to do with any digital communication. I analyzed 2 infographics about low-carb diets, identified where they followed and broke visual design and information literacy principles, and then created a new infographic tailored to college students. My redesign keeps the useful comparisons but presents them in a clearer, more neutral, and more ethical way. Thank you for watching, and I hope this breakdown shows how thoughtful design can completely change how information is understood.